All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another live edition of the London is Blue podcast. We are coming to you right after Cole Palmer and 10 other individuals were able to get it done, get it across the line, and beat Brighton back 4-2 in the Premier League to continue a flying start for our beloved Blues this season. Dan, one of your hosts here. We've got a bit of a rotational cast today with Sam and good friend Dennis as Nick celebrates some birthday festivities this weekend. Brandon on a little bit of a trip. So everybody in a great mood, whether they were watching, whether they're on this stream, whether we're getting a chance to talk about just how damn good Cole Palmer is. We probably could spend the 30, 40, 50 minutes just talking about him, Dennis. But I mean, there are some other good things we want to talk about too, but just how are you feeling after this result as a little bit of a cherry on top to the start of the season for Enzo Maresca and the players?
Wow. Thanks for having me, by the way, Dan, but good to see you, Sam. I know it's been a minute, so I'm glad we're all on stream together speaking, but in terms of that performance, that was a litmus test for me. It was one that I woke up this morning thinking, if Chelsea can play the type of football we saw the last couple of weeks and get a result, get a victory, this is the one that I'm looking to say this is like the catalyst for the season right now. And what a performance. I mean, didn't start very well, had some mistakes at the back and whatnot. I'm sure we'll get into it, but that guy, Cole Palmer, man, oh my goodness. What a player, what a performance. And it was right to see to finally get a game where the home fans can like really cheer the boys on and give a performance like that. But yeah, I'm elated. I think that Maresca got the tactics spot on, and we were able to really see the performance that the team has been basically angling up to for the last little while.
And I think you kind of mentioned this, Dennis, but I think as we think about the preview that we did, Sam, that did go up a little late due to some hurricane-related weather challenges. Thankfully, everyone is safe on our end, and hopefully anyone kind of experiencing that over the last couple of days, you're safe as well. But a 4-2 scoreline, a lot of high-line antics. I mean, how many predictions did you get right about this match, Sam? I know we both favored the win on it, but I feel like we should take you to Vegas at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. My first trip there, and absolutely seem to have earned it with that preview. Yeah, I counted. I'm going to be not humble bragging here, and I'm going to definitely blow my trumpet a little bit and probably say that I got 5 of them right. I had the balls in behind the high line, especially on dunk side as one. Had Baleba error when isolated in the defensive positions as another one. Noni versus Estupinian. I saw it on the right-hand side. That happened about 4 or 5 times. Noni got almost all of them right, but his decision-making sort of let him down. Sanchez becoming Robert again, sort of like letting slip and doing his side a favor, being the 4th, and the prediction was 4-2. High-scoring game, and got that one.
You had the score too? You had the score too?
Yeah, I had the score at 4-2, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it was quite, I would say, similar in terms of how Aston Villa rolled up last season. We absolutely had the same kind of background to it in terms of Highline being one of the best in Europe, great at catching people offside, and we tried to sort of play in behind there and didn't quite come off. And like, Dennis said, this was the one big test after, I would say, a nice warm welcome from Barrow and West Ham. This was like an informed side with a new manager, with also a really, really stacked squad. They had a lot of starters out today because of illness, but still had some great quality in there. But to come out like that and blow them away despite an early setback, I think is a great, great sign. So thoroughly enjoyed it, and long may that continue.
For sure.
Yeah, there were plenty of 3-word match reviews related to the idea of Sanchez. We had one from Habercat on Discord with the Palmer versus Sanchez. It really did come down to that because we were creating everything for both teams in this match. You had a few more as Robert, not Bob, as you mentioned, from CMXCL as well. Dennis, any 3 words you'd like to use to sum up this match?
I think you're gonna have to go to Sam first. I'm still thinking about it. It has to do with Cole Palmer, but I still have to assemble it correctly.
All right, Sam, you've been the ball's been kicked back into your court.
Yeah, I was thinking too. Thank you so much, Dennis. But I'll go four for Cole. I mean, the simple one, sort of just history maker, record breaker. 4 goals for the first time in the first half. Absolutely sensational. What can you say about him anymore? We've just been. I will guiltily say that I expected him to have a little bit of a drop off because I felt okay, nobody else can emulate that after a first season. As good as it was, but just to step out the way he has, and especially in his second season where people are aware of your quality and how dangerous you can be, just to step up and score 4. He could have had 5, could have had at least like 2 more assists that he tried for Jackson, could have had 7 goal contributions alone by himself. Absolutely tremendous. So, nothing more. This game was just him. And that's what I would say a world class player does. When you have one in the side, N'Golo Kante, Eden Hazard, the greats used to turn it by themselves. And I think we genuinely have one in the side now, which is an
Mm-hmm.
incredible thing for everybody to savor.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with Cole World, just because it's his
Good
world
one.
right now, man. This guy's just smashing it. And just to dovetail off what Sam was saying there, like, yeah, I think that he's definitely no dispute there. Like, he's definitely on that world class trajectory, like, without question. And I think that a lot of what we're seeing right now is that because we have such a squad that is, very much potent in the attacking areas, we have a lot of players that you have to think about. Sometimes you forget about Cole Palmer, and it's to the detriment of any team that does that, right? As we saw today, because there were times where like Noni was on the break, we saw Jackson on the break and whatnot, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is it. Chelsea's going to score. And then, out of nowhere comes Cole Palmer. So I think that the space that he's afforded right now is to the detriment of any team that plays against us. And, you can't help but give him space because we have so many threatening options in and around him as well. So, long may it continue.
Yeah, I would say keep the Cole Palmer three-word match review train alive. His historic half was the one that I went with here. When you think about the fact that he came into this game with 2 goals in the league so far, adds 4 on top of that, so 6 in total. You think about the fact that he had 13 non-penalty goals last season in the Premier League, so now he's at 6 of 13. He is, very, very much on his way to being able to bypass his non-penalty goal total with kind of ease, considering where Chelsea are at this point in the season. And Sam, we hinted a little bit at this in the preview pod, but a performance like this, comprehensive after some middling mistakes from your goalkeeper, where is this, or how is this continuing to change the trajectory of where you think Chelsea can end this season? And do you feel like it's realistic to say your preseason prediction, where you think Chelsea should finish, to now where you think Chelsea should finish at this point, with the games that we have in the Premier League completed? Is it higher? Have you raised the floor of expectation for where this team should finish?
Yeah, I'll be very honest, Dan. I have my head in the clouds, but my feet are firmly planted on the ground. I will reiterate this. There are certain issues we definitely need to sort out. And this game could have easily swung in the first 30, 35 minutes had we, not been our usual selves. And we got lucky. We got absolutely fortunate with the way that it was. But credit to the players. But just in terms of how many shots we conceded early on, we are trying to be this possession-based side, but your double pivot had 20 completed passes in the first half with 37% of the possession. That does not really radiate, the next step of your plan for me. There needs to be some sort of, especially when you know that Brighton are very good at moving the parts and sort of making sure that they can exploit spaces. Merited a little bit of control in the second half. We got that, but perhaps not as comprehensive as we would have hoped for. So those are all things that are part of the process. They will improve, but I've definitely upped my predictions in terms of like where it ends, because Maresca has really, really impressed me with the adaptability he's shown, just his tactical flexibility, not really the dogmatic figure that we were promised. He's been great in the way that he's tried to use his entire squad. And it's also great to sort of like hark back to CFCW And we're doing like nothing really in the first half, and then suddenly you've got Myra Ramirez off the bench, you've got Kat Macario off the bench, and you look at these deep squads that are full of problem solvers. I think that essentially shows good managers will use what they have at their disposal and get the best out of their side. So that's what he did today, and credit to him. I think this season has the potential to go really, really well, especially where we're stacked in the table now. It looks glorious then after like a couple of years in the wilderness. So I'm hoping we stay there.
And I mean, when you look at it, Dennis, getting a chance to see that the table currently before Liverpool has played is Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea as your 1, 2, 3, does feel like more solid footing and where Chelsea should be as a club, at any point in the season as we contest for domestic honors. But I think we kind of also mentioned earlier, like, we have heaped a lot of praise on Cole Palmer in the early part of this, but the attack in general feels deep, feels comprehensive. We had players like Madueke continuing to show excellent defensive prowess, kind of an overall work rate in his game that has really improved season over season. Jadon Sancho continuing to put United fans in absolute, emotional blender of terrible kind of thoughts and feelings. And, Nico Jackson, not necessarily getting a goal today, but continuing to be an absolute threat. Any of those that you want to jump on in terms of just praise for our attack in general?
Yeah, I think all of them deserve some level of praise. You speak with Nicholas Jackson. I think that he was very threatening throughout the match. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for a goal line clearance, we'd be saying that he scored again, right? Like, it was really close to seeing him hit the back of the net. But without question, his runs in behind, and if he had a little bit more, if there was a little bit better decision making in some of those like breaks that we had in transition, where he's in space and you expect him to just get on the ball, like, completely different game for him. But I think that he's doing the right things, 100%. Like, definitely threatening the back line, definitely getting in behind. His aggressivity in the high press is also very good. As far as Sancho goes, wow, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did not see this. I did not see this at all. Like, this guy, just his ability to find space and his ability to see those passes, those little like diagonal passes, delicately touched into the receiver for Cole Palmer's goal there, was just exceptional. This guy's got an eye for a pass, and he has this ability to just slow down the game in his head. Like, he seems like he's more of a cerebral player and make those like devastating passes into dangerous areas. And if he can keep this up, I don't know if we're going to have if there's going to be any situation where Chelsea can't like play through teams and whatnot. Like, there's going to be a lot of that happening. As far as Madueke goes, I just feel like he has the right mentality. I think that he's shown the ability to really threaten teams and be a real presence in the attacking areas. And of course, like you mentioned, like defensively, he's been really good so far this year. But just still think that the decision making is suffering with this guy. It's really, really suffering. And it's just when this team's getting on the break and we're producing chance after chance after chance, and it's falling to Madueke, the decisions to lay it off to somebody in a better position, just hold up play a little bit more until bring more guys into the play, just lacks a bit. So I don't know. It didn't really improve immensely when Neto came on. So there's going to be more opportunities for Madueke, I think, to get it right. But I mean, this is a litmus test. This is a blueprint for him going forward. Now he's going to have the opportunities to get into those areas. He's got to make better decisions.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the fact Chelsea at 3.19 expected goals to 1.08 for Brighton on the day, Chelsea with 41% possession to the 59% that Brighton had here. There were plenty of opportunities for our attackers to get involved. Going back to the Jackson element of it, Sam, we've talked a lot about him, particularly in the fact that, we saw the Victor Osimhen deal kind of collapse at the very end of the transfer window. People thought that we needed that replacement striker. He doesn't get the goal today. He's making some of those runs that Dennis talks about that are really dangerous, has a couple opportunities to either take the chance himself or try to selflessly set up another. I mean, there was the Neto chance that didn't kind of come through there as well. I feel like there's still a lot of his game to uncover for Maresca and the players. I think there will continue to be chances for him through the remainder of the season. I just there's a lot to like, and I think it's a patience and perseverance with him, because the upward trajectory, the underlying stats, and the positions he's getting into really speak to a high level of football IQ, and just sometimes it's not coming off on an execution standpoint.
Yeah, I have absolutely no qualms with his performance whatsoever. We talked about just doing the basics right as a striker. And when I look at intangibles, things you cannot distort with data, where there's absolutely no room for interpretation, I'm looking at the movement, the work ethic, how he's linking up with people around him, his attitude. All of them are 10 on 10. I have absolutely no worries there. Against West Ham, he took two shots on target. Both of them went in for goals. Today he took two shots on target. Both of them big chances missed. And that's how it is. That's the life of a centre forward. And it will continue to go up and down. And we're spoiled for choice watching the English Premier League. When you have a machine like Haaland, we tend to put the bar there, saying this is what the standard is. But the average centre forward misses as much as Jackson. So I think standards need to be sort of like toned down a little bit. This is what your elite to world class, like just below Haaland, the tier, the big gap that is there, this is what a centre forward looks like. And I think we have a machine. It's just a matter of maybe a couple more games, a little bit more time to hone that, rough edges, sort of polish them off. And I think I said this today, he is, in my eyes, the best U23 forward in the world, period. He is. And I watch a lot of centre forwards, and I can't compare anybody close to him. Not Sheshko. Osman is not even in the same league. He's way, way below Jackson in terms of like his overall game. So this is what we have, and we've been saying this for a year and a half before, saying, trust this guy. He's going to get there. And the leaps that he's made, goals and assists in the Premier League this season, 10 for Haaland, 10 for Palmer, 7 for Jackson. If you had that notched down in his first 6 games, out of which, like in his 6 games, he's provided a goal or assist in 4 of them, I would snap your hand off, and he's done that for us. So if he continues like that in the Premier League, who's going to complain? Absolutely nobody. So let him miss, let him get it out of his system, and there will be better days. That's the best that I can put it. That's the life.
Yeah, I just think that the evolution of him as a striker in the Premier League is going to be, playing against the Arsenals at Emirates, 0-0 game. Can he step up and be that talismanic figure and, find the winner for us? I mean, there's no denying, like, 14 goals in his first season in the Premier League is exceptional. Like, this is exactly what you want. And now you hope that he kicks on from here. I just think that the next evolution for him is scoring the right goals at the right time, like finding those moments to, that's the evolution of his game, like just finding the moments to really impact the games at the highest level.
We do have a run of fixtures coming up at Anfield, at home to Newcastle, away to Man United, where getting a couple of goals there would be fantastic. I would love a Jadon Sancho goal or assist in that trip to Old Trafford, because that would be quite delicious. I really enjoyed, in particular, getting a chance to watch him draw defenders in. And I think that's been something that's really been nice to see, because it is creating that space for other attackers. It's allowing for the switch of play to happen, because once it's committed to another side, it's giving others an opportunity to say, oh, like, I now have more space. And the way he's combining with Cucurella, who I'm just going to put it out there, I know the goal was offside. It should have stood only for the banter. Like 100% that goal should have stood for the banter, just because I would have loved to see what celebration he would have pulled off with, because I do think getting booed fully from the former team that you played for, it just has to give you a little bit of an extra edge on that one. I'm loving the partnership, Sam, between Marc Cucurella and Jadon Sancho. I think it's giving us something really special on the left-hand side. And, I think something that Enzo Maresca is enjoying as well. I mean, almost, I think, like, even hesitating to say, I'm going to pull off these players and put, Mudryk and Vega on, because I'm getting so much from Cucurella and from Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, and that's the big defining factor for me. Like, how many bodies can you put around Jadon Sancho? How much support can you give him? And the moment you do give him those runs, he pulls off, again, the kind of moments that he did today. Again, third assist for him in 3 games. It took him, I think, what, 4,000 minutes to get there for Manchester United. So it just gives you a good picture of where he stands with us. And I think he gets better from here. You can still give him a lot of support. It's unfortunate that Palmer is a left-footed right sort of player who shifts to the right wing. If we had a 10 who likes shifting to the left-hand side, say like in Kunku, I can 100% guarantee Sancho gets even more effective. And maybe that's, a combination we get to see in the UEFA Conference League, wherein Kunku shifts to the left-hand side, Jackson sort of drifts, or Joao Felix at centre forward also likes to sort of like drift to the left-hand side. If you give him that triangle of players on the left, allow him to pick passes into the box, that's when you get the best out of him. He will give you 6, 7 passes, creating shots, creating layoff opportunities, pre-assists, and that's when his numbers will fly. But he's doing the bare essentials. You're giving him a chance to put one pass into the box, and he's picking that eye of the needle pass and providing that crucial window. So I think it's just a launch pad for him. We've not seen the best of him at all. The best is yet to come. It's just making sure that he's in the right surroundings. But again, if the result goes the way that it did today, nobody's going to focus on it. Everybody's just going to see 3 assists in 3 games. Let's move on to the next one and hopefully get more.
Yeah, and you could argue that he gets the FPL style assist for drawing the penalty that ends up being converted by Cole Palmer as well. Like his movement has just been a joy to watch, Dennis. And I think again, like the partnership with Cucurella has been great. Enzo is another one who I think has had a bit of a seesaw season for Chelsea. The defense was kind of all over the place today, lots of back and forth for both sides, but from what he was trying to deliver in terms of the balls over the top, the passes through, this looked like he was much more dialed in the attacking phase in this game that we've seen over the past few.
Without question. This was an Enzo Fernandez game that you would anticipate from him, with the space being so vast. Like he was just picking passes left, right, and center. I thought that he was also very aggressive in the challenges and whatnot too, in the presses and like winning tackles and whatnot. So for me, this is his best game of the season, without question. I don't think that he's had a better one. And it's down to the fact that like he's really just coming to the grips with the pace of the game now. It felt like he was really in tune with that. And, that's all I really want from Enzo. Like, I'm not so focused on his, defensive acumen, his ability to like, be solid in the middle. I just need for when he gets on the ball, when he has the ball to feed, he has to provide our attackers with the bullets to hurt teams. And, there's been matches this season where he's just not done that enough. He's just not been, he's not really taking care of the ball well enough for us to really hurt teams in the final third. And, for going forward, if Enzo decides to play the way that he did today, if he gives us that sort of performance, those, split-second passes to get guys in behind, the switches to the left, the switches to the right and whatnot, just spraying passes all over the place, we're going to be laughing because this is exactly why, this is the quality that you want on the pitch when you're playing such a helter-skelter game. I mean, if you look, if you look at the game that Caicedo gave us, it was a little bit, not as great. Like he didn't really give us the stability in the middle as you would normally see. And I guess most of that was down to the fact that he was just basically playing a single pivot for the most part. But I don't mind that as long as we get the performance when in possession that we got from Enzo Fernandez today. Like everything else will take care of itself. I think that we'll be able to settle down the game and whatnot with the Caicedos, with the Gustos, and even the Cucurellas and whatnot. So long as when we get the ball and we're in the offensive phase of the game, we have the ability to get Enzo on the ball and he's able to find those passes to get guys into space. That's all I ask from it.
Sam, kind of continuing on that topic, I felt like Enzo, to Dennis's point there, had a lot more in the attacking phase. I do think he still tends to put a lot of additional work on Moises Caicedo when he doesn't necessarily get back as quickly. But this game just seemed to be all over the place from a transitional element. What did you make of the midfield partnership in this match, considering the fact that we now had Romeo Lavia able to come in for about 10 to 15 minutes at the end there, bringing back some depth to that position in the games ahead?
Yeah, it's easy enough for me to see that. If you're asking 100 million player that you paid over the top for his quality on the ball and you give him 37% of possession, that's what happens, unfortunately. You're asking him to do everything he's bad at. You're asking him to defend deeper, cover spaces, be agile, be athletic, not his game at all. And somewhere in the mid, I would say in the 40th minute, 42nd minute of the first half, he had completed, I think, 7 passes. And out of
Mm,
those, 3 of them were like probably our best opening. So 2 of them were through balls for Palmer in behind. One that he fluffed, that he should have squared to Jackson just before his goal. Another was, I think, one that opened up the defense again on the right hand side. And the third was the 1-2 attempt for Sancho when he got fouled for the penalty. And those 3 passes came from Enzo. And that's what happens when you give him quality on the ball. Unfortunately, he only had like 11 passes in the first half. So, what can you expect him to show? The best performance that I've seen, I think, from him recently was for Argentina against Chile in that 3-0 win for Argentina. And he had 88 passes there, enough time to express himself, play those long balls, play switches. And if it's going to be chaotic, then perhaps he's not the right player to sort of put in there. In that game, if we had Conor Gallagher, I would rather put him there because he's much better at screening. He's
mm,
much better at cutting out space. That's not what you want Enzo to do. Great. If you have a system where you have 75% of the ball and you want somebody to find solutions, he is the guy. But today was just not the kind of game for him. And again, it's a philosophical debate in terms of how do you improve it? Do you change the style to accommodate him? What is the end vision for Maresca? All of that comes into being. But yeah, hard questions have to be asked. Like, who occupies that left-sided position in games like these? Is it going to be Lavia? Is it going to be Enzo? Both of them, same weaknesses, same strengths. So what's the long game here? But hopefully, if you give him more of the ball, if you give him 75, 80 touches on the ball, he'll bring the best out of the side. Absolutely no doubts.
And I think you saw players who did get more time on the ball than Enzo, players like Levi Colwill, Fofana. I would argue that without the Sanchez mistakes, you would probably have a lot more praise for both of those players today. I think in general, Levi Colwill continues to be the center back #1 for Chelsea. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then, West did have a couple of good moments in here that too. I really liked in particular with how they were pressing forward, Dennis, into midfield, really trying to help allow Chelsea to exploit the high line, the suicidal high line that Brighton enjoyed playing in this match. That you get 1 or 2 offside decisions that feel a little rough, but really, did you see anything in particular from West or Levi that you liked? In general, I'm enjoying them as a pairing. I think Levi, my favorite of our center back grouping at the moment. And, I think in general, there could be something here with this partnership. What are your thoughts?
yeah, I agree 100%. I would say for Colwell, I think his second half is more in line with what he's been like this season than his first half. I thought gave away the ball a bit too much in the first half. Obviously, the clearances weren't spot on. His long range passes weren't necessarily spot on as well. But I thought his second half display was more in line with what we've been accustomed to seeing this season. As far as West goes, yeah, I don't think he had a great game. I thought he was a little bit muted, to be honest. Second half, again, I thought that because we had a little bit more solidity in there, he played a little bit better. But overall, if you're looking at a partnership, that's the one for me at the club. And it's not because Tosin, you go all over social media, the last week or so, pretty much everyone was saying Tosin should be the right-sided center back. And, for reasons, I don't know, I haven't really figured out yet. Like, obviously, with Fofana, he hasn't played a lot of football the last couple of years. But his ceiling, if you look at the 2 players and their ceiling, if Fofana gets back to his best, his ceiling is much, much higher than that of Tosin's as far as I'm concerned. So it's for that reason that I think that we have to continue to persist with playing this partnership together. It's definitely not to our detriment. We're 4 wins, 1 loss, and a draw so far. So as they begin to grow together and, get that better understanding together, Fofana gets his fitness together, Fofana starts to, get back to his best football. I think that partnership's just going to continue to grow. And yeah, it's the one that I think is the most suited for the style of play that we want to play. Protagonists on the ball, probing into the final third and whatnot. These are all things that both these guys do quite well. And, long may continue, really.
Ooh, Sam. So interesting one there. Is Wes the best center back partner right now for Levi Colwell, or is there anyone that you would consider pushing him to potentially be? You think it's like still an open dance card, or are we starting to settle on something that feels good for this Chelsea defense?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a free for all for right now for me at right center back. And to quote Dennis, I think he's absolutely spot on, because West, when he's fully fit and when he's at his best, is the kind of specimen that you rarely get in football. He's terrific 1v1. He's absolutely phenomenal defending wide. He can defend Mbappe 1v1. He's done it, like, looks absolutely incredible doing it. It's just injuries have ravaged him to a point where we're still trying to recover the best of him. So at this point, it's a bit of an ideological struggle, saying should you play him and give him confidence, or should you rotate him in and out after maybe challenges that happened today. I don't think he had a great game today. Was, like Dennis said, a little bit muted. If you are struggling in those out of possession phases, then what are you offering in the periods that you do have the ball? And those are questions that will be asked of him, especially when you've got a partner like Levi Colville, who's phenomenal on the ball and is willing to carry, is willing to sort of punch those passes through lines. So those are all challenges for him to elevate himself. And Tosin's also putting his name in the hat, because you see him picking those line breaking passes. He's winning those aerial duels because he's a colossus in the back line. Nothing gets past him. So if you do want balance, again, Maresca might be tempted to say maybe he's the guy to be the stopper and just let him deal with everything in the air. So it is, I feel, a neck and neck race. Ideally, you would want West to do those things because he's still very young. He's still got a long way to go before he gets to peak fitness, and it's the long game with him. But it's, for me, the read is that you've got two very good right centre backs who are competing at an equal footing. So it's not going to be too much of a drop off in the Conference League, and hopefully both will push each other for that first spot, and you'll get a good partnership going there on the right hand side.
Just to come out in the back of that, Sam, I just wanted to say that, like, I agree with you 100% on, Tosin being that calming presence, physical specimen, whatnot. My worry with playing Tosin in the style of play that we want to play is just turn of pace. Like, if we play that high line, if we drop the line a little bit lower, like we did against West Ham and whatnot, I have no problem with Tosin playing in there. But as soon as we, put that line, that high line, play that high line again, I'm worried about his ability to get caught in transition, and especially because we are inverting the fullbacks a lot of the time, the right-sided fullback, in this case with Gusto. Though getting out to those wide areas, and getting spun in behind is something that I worry about. And, like, without question, I think that Fofana is the best suited for this particular system because of his pace and whatnot, and his ability to turn and get back in position. So that's the only real caveat I have there in terms of the two of them being, properly suited for how we want to play.
And one thing that
So Dennis, interestingly,
go ahead, Sam.
Sorry, Dan. So about 3 months ago, there was this little post that came out in terms of who are Chelsea's fastest defenders.
I saw that.
We want to get
it's not him. It's not him. I'm not even hearing it. It's not Tosin. Okay. I'm not even going there. Okay. It's not him.
So it was Gusto. Gusto was 35 kilometers an hour first.
Yeah.
Then it was Tosin with 34.8, right before your man, Fofana, at 34.6. So who's really winning in life, huh?
I saw it.
No. But I think your point is valid, because people tend to, maybe what we're talking about here is that initial bit of acceleration when he's turning, that explosiveness. Is something that's missing. When he hits top speed, obviously a guy of his size, the strides that he covers, he's very, very quick. So maybe, yes, Fofana is a better athlete off the mark. When he turns and when he sprints, he's very, very quick. I think that's the bit that's missing in terms of agility. But top speed, I would think, is like pretty much similar. They're both very quick, tall guys. But like you mentioned, if there's a player who's smart enough to take advantage in those first 2 seconds, 3 seconds in transition, then you have an issue. But yeah, good point, to be honest. I just wanted to sort of like make people laugh a little bit.
I do want to talk a little bit more about Malo Gusto, but before that, I just want to highlight the fact that Ben Jacobs has posted or reposted the photo of Palmer's match ball with Lavia's comment, which is written out as "you're mid player regardless," which is quite hilarious and enjoyable. We're going to take that one to the bank. A player who's not mid, but is coming back, getting to full fitness after a little bit of time away, 45 minutes in midweek, 90 minutes, thankfully, without injury or issue in this match. Malo Gusto, we talked a little bit about fastest defender, apparently, on the pitch for Chelsea. Dennis, as you looked at his performance today, it did feel like he was still coming back into it, coming back up to the speed, kind of in the early parts of the game, felt a little bit more impactful, particularly as everything started to get going for Chelsea, and gives, I think, supporters a lot of confidence seeing him back, seeing him healthy, seeing him play 90 minutes, even if it wasn't the best Malo Gusto performance we've seen. There's a lot of comfort that comes from seeing him in the starting 11.
Oh, without question. Like he's important to how we want to play now. And I mean, he had a difficult assignment. Let's not get it twisted. Like when you look at Estupiñán and then also Mitoma, like both those guys love to play in wide areas and whatnot and give even the best of fullbacks problems today. But I thought that he asserted himself quite well throughout the game. Mitoma, while, always threatening, didn't really provide much. And Estupiñán, I was always worried about him just, underlapping and getting in the box and whatnot, or even, just dovetailing off of Mitoma and creating problems in wide areas. And neither of those things happened today. So for me, I thought Gusto was probably given the instruction to play a little bit safer for the reasons that I just said, like those two guys, basically overloading that left side of the pitch there. But when we did get forward, when we did have those opportunities to get him in, the inverted runs to get inside that number 10 area there, like I thought that he was good. He's occupying good spaces and whatnot. And, again, on the transition, Chelsea were very good at like breaking with pace and whatnot. And that's Malo Gusto's strength. He did have that one cross, if I'm not mistaken, in the first half where I think he almost found, I want to say it was Jackson in the box there where, a better pass, whatnot, I think that we would have been able to score again. But overall, this is what you want from Gusto, just having the awareness and the ability to understand what's happening, in front of him and behind him as well, and be switched on for most of the game and whatnot. So, long may that continue, because as we know, the preferred right back right now has not been healthy enough to hold down the position long enough. So, having somebody like Gusto come into games like this that are very, very difficult and challenging for any right back is a welcome presence for me.
I mean, I think, we won't spend a lot of time talking about Robert's performance on the day. Just made a couple of saves, had a couple unfortunate brain farts. Chelsea still won on the day, so we're just going to cash that check and take it to the bank. I do think, though, it begs the larger question here. We kind of went top to back, front to back, rather, in terms of the total team talking about it over this match reaction. Sam, how many players do you think have a locked starting spot in Chelsea's best Premier League 11 now? Like, we had this conversation in the preview pod. We talked about the fact that it's almost like a comfort blanket thing where the best 11 is starting to sort of pick itself. It's not giving Enzo Maresca a ton of challenges, and that's even particularly after the Christopher Nkunku performance in the midweek. Do you feel, is it 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 11 players that potentially are all locked if healthy?
That's a phenomenal question, to be honest. And I would say probably maybe an 8 or 9 players are locked in at this point in time. The only issues that I have are, like Dennis and I were discussing, maybe the right center back spot. Obviously, like that's long term still up for debate, but I feel like there are two good options there. Fullbacks, you don't really have the depth. There's no Reece James, and Chilwell is out in the cold, so you have no option but to lock them in. But yeah, left center midfield, Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia is going to be quite intriguing. Kani Chukwuemeka had this lovely cameo and then just disappeared for this one. Dewsbury Hall, again, is God knows where. So maybe he's just earmarked for the Conference League. But those four players are arguably in that left sort of slot trying to find their way in. So it's going to be a lot of competition there. And the last one I'd probably say is right wing. Madueke had set the bar really high with his hat trick, but his decision making is sort of starting to grate a little bit on fans, maybe like himself as well. He's letting himself down because he tends to do all the other stuff really good outside the box. He's getting his 1v1s perfectly right and he's exploring past people, but his decision making is his final ball is just not there. Sometimes he's a little too selfish. With Neto sort of getting into confidence, maybe that's the slot that opens up. Maybe you move Palmer to the right and sort of get Nkunku to the middle and start swapping both of those guys in and around and see how that works. Maybe that's something that's tried out. Maresca is somebody who likes to experiment, so wouldn't put it past him. But those 8 slots I think are sealed. Those 3 other ones, when we see the games happen in the Conference League, I think by December we should have a hard fit in terms of who the best 11 are.
Dennis, are you in alignment? Same number of individuals
100%.
locked in?
100%. That's exactly where I see it. You can make the argument based on today's performance that maybe Jorgensen should come into question here, but I just don't see the evidence for it. Like for the most part, I mean, this season, I think that Sanchez has been good. He's made some timely saves. He's coming and commanding the area quite well. I mean, today it's to his detriment, unfortunately, but I think that his command of the area has been quite good from set pieces and whatnot for the most part, and it's going to be hard to displace him. But yeah, everyone else, if Reece James again does come back into fitness, I think that it's a no-brainer that your captain is going to take his place at the right back position. But outside of that, I think that Maresca is starting to see his best performances from his best side right now.
And he's going to have plenty of opportunity over the next couple of weeks to continue to tinker and tailor a lineup for all of the various competitions that Chelsea are going to be in, because it's not that long from now, on the 3rd of October, where Chelsea will take on Ghent in the Conference League in terms of the execution there. Then Chelsea have the hosting of Nottingham Forest on the weekend. And then it's another break, because why not stop the good times in advance? We get a couple of weeks in between that before the trip to Anfield. But look, this was good. This was exciting. This was an opportunity for Chelsea to dunk a little bit with some NBA style football in the Premier League. And we enjoyed every stinking minute of it. At time of recording, at time of live broadcast with everybody here on YouTube, Chelsea currently sit 4th in the Premier League table on 13 points, just behind Liverpool, who currently in a draw with Wolves. But I don't think that is going to last too long unless something crazy happens. And then we do have the risk of Villa gazumping us after they play Ipswich, because who knows, maybe something crazy happens there. But sitting 4th at the moment, sitting pretty, being comfortable and confident once again. Chelsea are back, seemingly, and Dennis and Sam had the chance to enjoy this live stream with both of you. But that's going to do for this one. So until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.